Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Minority Reportz podcast and digital series. I'm your host, Mona Shaikh. James is here. James says, happy weekend, everybody. Yes, very, very happy weekend. I'm finding a lower back pain. I was just telling our guest today how I, during the pandemic, I somehow had forgotten that I have a lower back injury. And then I went to the gym a little too hard this week, and my lower back was like, let me remind you, you are old now. Old. You're not young, you're old. So there's that. But I'm very excited about my guest today because not only is he an incredibly accomplished human being, he's also become a really good friend. And I just love and adore him and his family, and they're just lovely and kind human beings. This man literally, has changed the very industry that he is in. He is a pioneer because he is the founder of Viptela. He's the founder of Alkira, and we're going to talk to him about his journey. And he's a fellow Pakistani, so I couldn't be even prouder. Here's my very good friend, Amir Khan. How are you?
Hi, Mona. How are you? Nice to see you again.
Yeah. So nice to see you. I'm so happy that you're here. I want to jump into it because I know we're on a time crunch. You were born and raised in Pakistan like myself, but you were born and raised in Lahore, correct?
Yes, I was born and raised in Lahore, model town.
Model town. Oh, yeah. I've been to Lahore a few times, and I had a great time every time I went to Lahore. What age were you when you moved from Pakistan to America?
I was 21 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. I had done my some of my education in Pakistan. I did, BSc, which is 2 years equivalent of undergrad in mathematics and statistics. And then I did 1 year in architecture. Then I decided, my dad said you're having too much fun in Pakistan, so go to the US and get some real education. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's not real education, right?
Well, it is in a way, but both places, you can do a lot of good stuff, right? Pakistan also has a great education system, and it can improve quite a bit. And I loved studying in the US as well. I studied electrical engineering in US.
Wow. When you came here, did you have family members here, or it was just brand new? Like you're just
no, it was just me and one of my brother's friends was here at the University of Mississippi. So that was my only acquaintance. So we thought that it would be good to just go to the same school as he is, and so that at least I can get some guidance. So he was a great guy. He guided me a lot.
University of Mississippi?
Yeah, Ole Miss. Ole Miss. Electrical engineering program was pretty good,
Were there other Pakistanis there besides you two?
A few, maybe 4 or 5, yeah.
Wait a minute. Is University of Mississippi famous in Pakistan?
Not really. I don't know how my brother's friend ended up there, but I enjoyed it a lot. Southern hospitality. I'm not kidding. It was a lot of good time. I finished my undergrad in 3 years, and then I moved to Colorado, Boulder, Colorado. Yeah.
Wow. I don't really think of Mississippi, and good education is not something that I think of.
But it is. Lots of good folks over there. I never ran into any kind of issues, and I enjoyed my life over there a lot.
Did you experience, now there's more and more conversation about, race and ethnicity and people being proud to be a minority. Was that a thing when you went to the University of Mississippi where you were like, oh, I don't want to tell people that I'm an immigrant. I don't want to tell people I'm from Pakistan. Was that a thing? Nothing like that.
Nothing like that. And, as I'm saying, we used to have so many diverse friends, right, from all across. And it was a lot of fun. At the school, I used to teach at the computing center there, programming and how to use computers, etc. And again, a lot of diverse folks, right? Local from the US or Europe or Asian countries. And I enjoyed it a lot. I never felt any discrimination over there of any kind, except for once when my brother told me that, perhaps we need to help out our dad and deliver pizzas to, make some extra money. And I did that for 2 days. One of the guys screamed at me when I went to deliver that. And that was it. I never, took on that job again. And I focused on working at the computing center and, finished my studies there.
I mean, would you say that your brain was always kind of wired in a way that you were always like just more inclined to being in tech?
Not really. I mean, I didn't know what tech meant when I was growing up. Remember, I'm very old, right? Born in 1963, so it's been a while. you know. So at that time, when I was growing up, I think I was inclined towards doing creative things. My mother tells me that I, would do, make things out of wood or, those. You remember what the kana is? It's a bamboo type thing, and so make airplanes out of that or some houses and play with those things, right? As I was growing up,
Right.
I
Yeah.
remember Model Town was a beautiful town with a lot of greenery and water coming into the channels in front of our homes. And we used to have relatively large lawns over there, greenery and stuff like that, so we used to be playing outside all the time.
Yeah.
And I was considered to be a bit on the creative side from the beginning in the house. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you always like to like that's why you did architecture for a year.
Yeah, so that was also
Constructing.
interesting. One of my friends was going to the art school, and I was struggling to figure out what I need to study after I did my double math stats BSc, right, 2 years
Yeah.
equivalent of the undergrad.
Yeah.
And he was at my home, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to go get take this test to get into the art school." And he said, "Come join me, and it'll be a lot of fun." And I said, "I don't know anything about architecture," so I joined him. I sat on the motorbike with him, and we went and took the test. And I got in the, on the waiting list. And then
Wait a
they had
minute.
to
Did
interview
you
me.
study for this?
No, no, So all I had to do was write an essay and in English and draw a live drawing of a person sitting there. And I was decent in drawing, but I didn't know that I was you know okay to get into a art school, right? Which is a very prestigious art school, National College of Arts in Lahore,
Okay.
where thousands of people from across the country apply, and maybe 50 or 60 are chosen in a class, right? And so I got into that, and then I said, I have to take this interview now, or they're going to interview me to see whether I can get into the school or not. I was on the
Uh-huh.
waiting list, right? So my friend said, "Oh well, let's go to the library, pick up the architecture books." And I was like, really? I mean, in 2 days, how much am I going to learn about architecture? Forget about architecture. I'm not going to study. So I just went with my gut, and I said, I know squash. I play a lot of squash, and why don't I pick up the books on squash and learn about squash history and code and the ball used and the rackets and the sizes of everything. And so I
Yeah.
did that. And my brother used to have a collection of Louis L'Amour's these novels, right? Western writer, right?
Yeah.
And Alistair MacLean's, right? And a lot of us grew up learning that. So I picked up all the books and reviewed them a little bit over the 2 days, and went and sat in front of people. There are like 7 or 8 people sitting in front of me, and I'm sitting in the middle, and they're interviewing me, right? And they say, "So son, what do you know about architecture?" I said, "Interestingly, nothing." So they're looking at my face. "So why are you here?" I said, "Well, this is the exact story. I'm going to tell you the truth, right? My
Yeah.
friend told me that it's an interesting career, and I think a thought about it. I like building things with my hand, and I think I'm on the creative side, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm sitting in front of you. So what do you know?" I said, "I play squash and I like to read books," right?
Right.
And that's what they interviewed me on, and it was amazing. They even asked me what kind of gas is put into the ball, right? At that time, I remembered what are the dimensions of the code. I was like, okay, this is great. I knew everything just like that, right? So they
Wow.
gave me admission, and I studied architecture for about a year, and then after that, I came to the U.S.
Wow. I mean, was it your dad who pushed you to go to America, or was that just a thing that you were like, I want to go to America?
No, it was my dad. As a matter of fact, he was like, "What are you going to do here? You are
Wow.
creative. Just go study over there."
Wow.
He wanted. We were 4 brothers and 1 sister. He wanted all of us to become doctors, and none of us became doctors. Right? We
I
didn't
mean,
want
that's
to.
the family story of my family.
Growing up in Pakistan, either your parents wanted you to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, right? And those are the 3 professions. And
That's
he was
right.
a pilot, right? So my elder brother was like, My dad tried his best, and he said, "No, I'm becoming a pilot." So he's still a pilot, flying for Emirates, right?
Wow.
And he flies a 777. The second one also became a pilot. So my dad told me that I was the nice guy. I would listen to him, do something else, become an engineer. So I said, okay. I went to the U.S. and studied, and here I am.
Wow. I mean, I think what always fascinates me. Well, your younger brother Atif,
Yeah,
he's your business partner.
yeah,
He's also
yeah,
he's also an engineer.
yeah.
So
He's
he
an engineer.
followed in your
He was
he
very
followed in your
young.
footsteps. Yeah, he
Yeah,
followed in your footsteps.
right. So when I was at the University of Colorado, he was doing his A levels in Pakistan, and got admission at the University of Colorado. So we were roommates, right? And since then we've been working together, And
Wow.
so he was only 17 when he came. I was 21 when I came to the U.S. And we enjoyed it. We used to go to Denver Athletic Club to play squash, and the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs to play squash, and we used to play tournaments, and he was one of the best in the US in amateurs, right? And so we enjoyed a lot. And the interesting story is, if you go to the Denver Athletic Club, you walk in and it says home of Hashim Khan. you
Oh,
know yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's really interesting, because nobody
who's
knows
Hashim Khan?
that
Sorry.
Hashim Khan was the first 7-time British Open champion in the 50s from Pakistan. The way he was discovered was that he was a marker, a coach at the services club, Air Force Academy, right? And people thought he was really good. So one day, one of the best players, I think it was subcontinent champion or something, he shows up and he said, "Is there a player that I can practice with?" And this guy says, he was there. He said, "No, sir, I'm the only one there. And do you want to play me?" He said, "No, I don't know. I'm way too good for you." So I said, "Okay, how about if I give you a handicap of 27? Mind you, the squash game is 9 points, right?" And he said, "I'll beat you 3-0, 9-0, 9-0, 9-0." And he looked at him and he said, "You must be crazy. I am the champion." He said, "Let's try, sir. There's no harm, right?" So he got him the code, and the guy beats him 9-0, 9-0, 9-0. And that's when people decided they need to collect money and send him to England to play in the British Open. And he was, I think, 39 years old or something, or maybe 38 years old. And he
Wow.
won 7 straight times.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a story.
Well, I know that Pakistanis are very big on squash. Like squash is, I think Pakistanis dominate squash, don't we?
They did. I mean, Hashim. There was,
Yeah,
Jahangir Khan, 10-time British Open champion. So
that's right.
like the Wimbledon of squash, right? And then
Yeah.
after that, it was 7 years, John Sher Khan. And then after that, I think the squash level dropped in Pakistan, and now it's Egyptians who are doing really, really well, right?
Squash
So
level got squashed, is what
squash
happened.
level got squashed somehow. It was, a few families in Pakistan who were really, really good, and few people from outside of that who were
Yeah,
good, right? Because it was
yeah.
the elites game, kind of, right? Which is unfortunate,
Right,
right?
right.
And because it was played in a confined area and
Yes,
with racket, and so it was relatively expensive in the Pakistani community to play
sure,
that. So we were middle class, and my dad was a pilot, so we could afford it a little bit, right? But
sure.
majority of the people cannot, right? So yeah, and these people, they were mostly coaches, and they won the
Wow.
British Open. His brothers won, and then it continued for many, many years. And Kamar Zaman, Gogi Alauddin, I mean, all these guys except for Jeff Hunt, who won 8 times, right? And then
Yeah,
after that, Jahangir Khan won 10 times. He's the best ever
yeah.
athlete in any sport ever. 555 matches consecutively,
Whoa.
Jahangir Khan, and lost one, and then went up on to win another 400 and something, right? So squash
I
is,
thought it was Serena Williams. I thought Serena Williams held that
well,
title, but
it's one of the best, right? One of the top athletes in the
I
world.
mean, my
You know,
God.
now he's retired.
Why do you think Pakistanis are so good in tech and squash? What
Squash
do you
and cricket and hockey, field
cricket?
hockey, chess,
Cricket, but
it's
cricket,
kind of
we're
interesting.
not
I
doing so
don't
good.
know. Not as good.
Yeah,
Not
let's
as
be
good.
real. They've been eating
I
too
think
many biryanis and too many
I
chicken
know.
tikkas. They
I
need to
think
cut back
it's
on the halim, like
in
for real.
some. It was that family which was extremely hardworking, and few other folks outside of that family, and they just got this inclination to work hard and become the world champions. It
Right,
requires a lot of dedication. This guy used to
right.
work out 8 hours a day or something, right? And they used to go to, his coach, Ramat Khan, stays here in the Bay Area. And he
Yeah.
tells the stories that he would take him to the Himalayas, right, in Gilgit. And they would run over there at the, elevation, so his stamina would improve. and they would work out so
Isn't
much.
there less oxygen there?
Yeah, and that's why they used to go there to potentially see how they could improve the stamina. So it was really interesting, really interesting.
Wow.
And
How
he went, and when he was a kid, he had hernia, and doctor told him that he could not play squash at a decent level, and he ended up beating all odds and ended up winning squash in a British Open 10 times
wow.
straight.
Wow.
Imagine winning Wimbledon 10 times straight, right?
Wow.
So
Yeah,
Australians play,
my yeah, our
yeah.
parents used to train us by giving us a glass of milk every morning and hanging us from monkey bars to get
Yeah,
taller.
there you
I'm
go.
that's what my parents did, Amir. They were like, we want you to be tall, so we're
I know.
gonna and I'm lactose intolerant, so let me tell you,
Yeah,
it is not fun being lactose
yeah,
intolerant hanging off a monkey bar in the
yeah.
morning. Where I mean, these are just such. I think Pakistanis are such dynamic people. I think when I look at Pakistanis like yourself, like myself, and the other Pakistanis that have accomplished so much in America, it becomes about that. It's not about the people. It's about opportunities. It's about
About
having
opportunity.
access to education. It's
Yeah.
about living in a peaceful environment where you can thrive and you can build a life, you can build a business. Because I think there's so much talent in Pakistan that will never really see the light of day because
Yeah.
the country itself does not support its talent. Like it's
That
not
is so true.
structurally. Yeah, it's very structurally. They feel like Pakistan society is a very traumatized society. Our society is a very, very traumatized,
Yeah.
and nobody really takes the time to talk about healing. Nobody ever talks about mental health. Nobody really ever takes the time to talk about spirituality and to really, have a process of healing so the society can move in a more progressive direction. But that's just kind of how I feel. Or when now I think the first time that I met you. You said something really beautiful and really, really touched my heart. We were at this in downtown LA. We were at this Pakistani, conference thing.
Right,
You were there and I was there, and we were both brought on as speakers. And you started giving the presentation, and you started talking about. I forget it. Was it about Viptela? I forget who you were talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And you started getting very emotional. You started showing pictures of your dad, and you were crying. And I was like, okay. First of all, I have never met a Pakistani man in my life who starts crying about his dad in public. Like I've just never seen it ever in my life. And I was like, this is so beautiful. I'm like, the fact that this man is so emotionally connected to himself, he loved his father, he has no problem showing the emoting this way. I was like, okay, who is this dude? This is really amazing because you know that our culture is very patriarchal. It's very macho. Men don't show emotions, and we don't get But you are just the opposite of all those things, and you are this incredibly successful entrepreneur. Do you feel your upbringing, like the way your parents raised you, has also contributed this amount of emotional intelligence that you possess that has helped you become a very successful entrepreneur?
I think that has to be a part of your life, right? I mean, you have to be emotionally connected with your family, your friends, and your environment, and your, whatever you do in life. If you don't have that, then, it's not the same. I mean, you have to be passionate about what you do and what your surroundings are. And you don't have to lose your identity to accomplish something, right? So you have to be open about it. I mean, you don't have to be shy of what you were and how you grew up and where you are and where you're going, right? And that's the way I take life, that you have to, and that allows you to respect others, right? So that's fundamentally important, when as you're growing up as a human being. And that's what we teach our kids, and that's how we were brought up, right? Respecting every human being, no matter what culture, what background, what religion they're from, right? And now I think we're starting to lose that. The family environments which used to teach that, the value system is starting to go away, right? Because we are becoming more materialistic, and we are losing that touch, the human touch, right? And that's beautiful, right?
Yeah. I feel like you and I grew up in very different Pakistani environments,
Maybe,
yeah. Because I look at someone like you and I'm like, wow, this man comes from a very healthy family. Like your family sounds very healthy. Like your Your
Yeah.
father's very loving. I met your mom. She's a
Yeah.
beautiful human being. Of course, your wife, who I like absolutely love and adore. You have two beautiful daughters. Like
Mhm.
just everyone around you. You're
Three daughters. You didn't
three
meet
daughters.
them.
Yeah, so I haven't met the oldest one yet. I haven't met the
Yeah.
oldest one,
Yes.
but I met
Yes.
the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the athletic one. Okay, the gymnast.
Right.
What?
Right. Right.
He's,
Right.
he's gonna be in the Olympics soon.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. But I look at your family and then I look at mine. This is shocking because when I met your family, I didn't know that Pakistani families like yours existed.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I grew up around in a very unhealthy environment,
Yeah.
right? I grew up in a very domestically violent household. My father
Mhm.
was very physically abusive.
Mhm.
My uncles were very physically abusive, right? It's just like this cycle of violence, and
Mhm.
everyone I looked around was just constantly in distress and constantly in chaos. There
Yeah.
was no healthy communication. There was no emotional intelligence, what you're
Mhm.
speaking of. So
Mhm.
I think I look at someone like you and I'm just like, okay, so like 1% of Pakistanis are like Amir's family, and I don't know what the hell is happening with the rest of the
No, I
99%.
think it's not that. I think Mona, the way I look at it, I think it's global. It's a global thing, right?
Yes,
There
I
are
agree.
abusive people, and there are people, and I think majority of the people in the world are nice, right? And so I mean, people around us in our community, whether it's Pakistanis or Indians or from Asia or here local, very healthy environments. I mean, I see a
Yeah,
lot of healthy families. Once in a while, you run into people where you see this type of environment where it's very abusive or very unhealthy,
yeah,
and so we need to help those people rather than
right.
trying to isolate them. And that's, I
Sure.
think, where as human beings, it's our duty to go and help people, right?
Yes,
And
I agree with
and
you.
create a healthier environment around us. So this whole notion of whose background is what and whose religion is what do we care?
That's right. I
At the
agree.
end of the day, we need to be nice human beings to each other,
I
right?
agree,
I mean, you
100%.
and I are Muslims, right? What does that mean?
That's
Right?
right.
Does that mean we stop respecting other religions? No,
No,
absolutely not. Right?
honestly,
And same thing with
quite the opposite. Actually, quite the
it's the
opposite.
opposite, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's what we were taught, that you
that's
have
right.
to respect all religions, all backgrounds, all human beings, right? I mean,
That's
I
right.
fortunately I grew up, in Pakistan as well as in Iran, because my dad used to work in Iran as a pilot
Oh wow,
for a while from in the 60s and in the 70s.
that's when the
And
Shah was around, right? That's
yeah,
when.
and he, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, he worked for a short while for the royal family also, right?
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so he used to fly the crown prince and the queen, and because though two pilots are required, right? One flies the king, and the crown prince and the king never fly together, right? Because
Right, in
for
case the
obvious
plane
reasons.
crashes. Right.
And yeah, and it was interesting, and so we met a lot of different people from a lot of different cultures, right? What happens is the society tells you that the other human being is bad in the nearing or neighboring countries, right?
Right.
When you come to this country, you're roommates with them, and you
That's
start to
right.
realize human beings are human beings.
That's
They have the
correct.
same culture, they grew up the
That's
same
correct.
way,
That's
just
correct.
10, 20
That's right.
miles away from us,
That's
right?
correct. That's
And
correct.
so it's very fascinating, and that's, I think, travel is important. I think educating the people,
Number one.
the
Number
kids,
one thing.
to go and meet with diverse people is important. I
Yep.
think it's fundamentally important for people to understand that you should not be just feeling comfortable, because you obviously feel comfortable with your own type of people, right?
Sure.
You need to get out of the comfort zone and
Yes.
meet broader
Yes.
set of people, so you understand their backgrounds and cultures and
Right.
start respecting them more. There's no
Yeah.
bad human being, right?
Yeah.
Human being become bad because of the circumstances, right?
Mhm.
So we need to educate the masses better. I think this division that we have in this country now, sometimes I feel like we are going back to the dark ages, right? I mean, we
Yes.
should be, I mean, this country is so much more educated and so much
Yes.
better than that, right? And we
Yes.
know it, right?
Yes.
I mean, I went to school in Mississippi, for God's sake, right?
That's right.
And so many nice human beings over there I met, right?
That's right.
And so
That's
many
right.
long-term friendships I made over there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's important, and so I'm passionate about having a diverse culture and diversity
No,
in every different
I'm
way.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. You know, Amir, I don't know if you know this or we've ever talked about this, but two of my brothers got polio when they were kids. So that's how my family started coming to the US. And
Mhm.
my mom would go to Lexington, Kentucky because Shriners Hospital's there. And my mom would tell me all these amazing stories of how the Kentuckians would treat her with so much love and so much respect and, you know, how kind they were. And she's like, these top surgeons would literally just stand at the door while they see me praying, right? She's like,
Mhm.
I'll be sitting and I'll be praying, and you know they will just wait for me until I was done with my prayers. And she's like, "This current America, I don't recognize because that's
Yeah.
not the America I came
And it's
into."
a recent thing, right? You
Right,
know, I mean, people
right.
would be walking on the road and they would start praying on the side and nobody said anything, right?
Yes.
This is the 80s
Yeah.
and the 90s. And what happened to us in the, 2010s and now 2020s, right?
Trump
I mean,
happened. Trump happened is what happened. America.
well,
Trump happened.
I mean, no one person is to be blamed. I think there was a
Yeah.
lot of pent up, anger somehow because of whatever
Yeah.
reasons, whether it was, the culture was changing or the jobs were changing or people, the difference between the rich and poor that,
Yes.
was
The class.
stretching, and
Right.
the class differences happening, right? So we need to figure out at the government level and non-government levels as to, how we can bridge those gaps, right? So that
Right.
people don't feel that level of I guess anger against each other.
Right.
And a lot of it is to talk, right? Talk to each other, right?
Right.
Just get
Right.
out
No,
there and
I agree with you. I think, you know, I some of my friends get a little surprised. I have, you know, I consider myself a moderate. I sit somewhere in the middle. I
yeah,
feel like the people who help move the world along or progress are people who sit in the middle. They're not to the
yeah,
far left and they're not to the far right. They sit somewhere in the middle. At least
right,
that's
right,
my belief system, and at least that's what I've seen.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I want to talk to you about you come here at 21, so you're, you know, and then you're here. How did you ended up stumbling upon Viptela? And I'm sorry, I'm like rushing
yeah.
there because I know we're
No,
on
so
time.
I came here, studied electrical engineering, and then in 1989 I was trying to find a job, and there were not
Mhm.
that many jobs. I had finished my master's, and and one of my friends was working at Ford Motor Company in Dearborn, Michigan, and he
Yeah.
called me. He said, "Hey, we have some positions in computer networking." I said, "What?" I used to support computer networks at the University of Colorado Computing Center, right?
Yeah.
Again, I worked at the computing center at the University of Mississippi. Then I did that, so teaching teaches you a lot, right? So I was very
Mhm.
well versed in computer networking, which was not even taught in the classes that much, right? It
Wow.
was very early.
Right,
And
1989. Yeah.
yeah,
Who wants
1989, nobody
computers?
knew what a computer network was, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we were talking, you used to once in a while talk to people on phone or write letters, right?
That's right.
People
That's
have
right.
forgotten that we lived in that era, right?
That's right.
Where you
That's right.
would send a letter to Pakistan, wait for 14 days because it used to take 7 days
That's
to
right.
get there and 7 days,
Yeah.
to get back here, right?
That's right.
The reply, and so it was really interesting, and so I ended up learning a lot from there about computer networking. So when I was, so my friend got me a job there at Ford Motor Company. So I was supporting their internal computer networks. Computer
Okay.
networks are what are used to interconnect devices together so that they, so you can send messages or share files or whatever, so
Sure.
we grew in that environment. And I was deploying Cisco's, and Cisco was very new. It was maybe tens of people at Cisco at that time, and it
Wow.
was up and coming company. And I deployed the Cisco boxes at Ford Motor Company, right? So then Cisco realized that, oh, this guy maybe knows a little bit about Cisco. Why don't we hire him? So they hired me. So I came to to California, San Jose, or rather Mountain View, California. Or Cisco used to be in Menlo Park near Palo Alto,
Yeah.
and I started working for Cisco in 1991 when there were like about 300 people, and and then we built the networks for the companies. Then the internet was born, and of course there was internet, which was between government agencies or schools before that, right?
Yeah.
And then we brought it to the masses. Companies like AOL, if you remember, they were created for dial-up internet,
Oh
right?
yeah, the
And
dial-up days. I remember those.
and then there was UUNet, which was bought by MCI, and MCI was bought by somebody else. So it became a phenomena, and
Yeah.
now people don't know what they think. Internet is the software like web. interface, right? But
Mhm.
the internet was the interconnection of devices across the globe, right? So we started laying these fiber and cables and undersea cables, and now everything in the world is interconnected. So what
Right.
brings everything together is called the computer network, and that is the equipment which is manufactured by Cisco's and Junipers of the world. So I was very fortunate to ride that wave, and
Mm.
learn about this industry. And then eventually, working for Cisco and Juniper and all that, I decided that it was time to do something on my own. Well,
Right.
at a later stage, and some people even discouraged me that you're too old to do a startup. I was like, come on, I can still run quite a bit, so why can't I do a startup?
Too old? What? You were what, in your 30s at the time then?
No, 48 years old, right? And when I
Okay.
started the company,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we did. As a matter of fact, you're more mature and you make less
That's right.
mistakes, right?
That's right.
So I think it was a very interesting experience. Cisco ended up buying that company, and after that, I took a break for a year or so, and then I decided there was a bigger opportunity, which was because cloud was growing,
Yeah.
right? And cloud basically is that all the compute and storage and applications and databases that used to be on premise, right? And people are starting to offer those as a utility, across the internet, right?
Yeah.
And so whereas large companies used to build these humongous data centers and put all their computers in those data centers, and somebody had to manage and interconnect all those devices, now the clouds are offering them as a service, right? You can just deploy your servers and applications there and consume them from anywhere. So now there's a trend that all those data centers will over time close, and public clouds will be used as a utility to consume compute and storage resources, etc. So when you
Wow.
store your files in iCloud, right, where is it stored? It's in the data center of Apple, right?
Right.
So
Right.
across the internet. And
Physical
so
servers, like they have
yeah,
physical servers that,
so
yeah.
the enterprises are going through the same motion now, where things will reside in the public clouds like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure, or or Google Cloud Platform, right?
Mhm.
And Amazon, was using their own services that they built for their own company. They
Mhm.
decided that it was such a massive infrastructure to support Amazon. Potentially they could start similar capabilities to offer services to other
Like
customers.
they need the money, Amir.
And now you within a few years, right, 10 15 years or so, right,
Mm.
they are at 40-50 billion-dollar revenue, right? Just that part of Amazon. It's just pretty amazing.
40,
And then
50
Microsoft,
billion? Is that
yeah,
what you said? With a
yeah, and
B.
Microsoft Azure, Microsoft realized that that was a big opportunity, so they jumped in, and Google had built their own infrastructure.
Wow.
So they said that perhaps it's a great opportunity for them. So perhaps it's $100 billion market now, just the cloud piece, and it's just started, right?
Wow.
And so we saw that opportunity, and I was sitting there thinking that networks being built in the cloud, one thing is that each one of these players are building them independently in a different way. So that poor IT folks in the enterprise,
Yeah.
they have to struggle to manually do things, even though to a certain extent it's automated, but from the compute and storage and those that level, right? But when you bring the whole enterprise together, you have to take the on-premise, right, customer premise locations,
Yeah.
your data centers, your cloud locations, your remote users, everything has to come together. So, and it was a piecemeal approach. So why don't we create a ubiquitous common infrastructure across all these environments to front end all the clouds? So that's what Alkira is about. So from
Wow.
connectivity perspective, it's a ubiquitous global service that we have created that you can use on demand, just like you use any application on your, in the internet, right? As
Like
a service.
Hulu, like what?
I mean,
Like what?
anything like, Salesforce, or, you may go and use some health application. So we have,
Got it.
for the first time in the computer networking history, we are bringing the same cloud type capabilities as a service to that market. That will
Wow.
allow us to transform that market. It won't be as it exists today. It will be very different by the time we are done. So now we have relatively large customers like Coke Industries, and multiple healthcare providers, financial companies who are deploying our solution. And we are working in Asia and Europe also, right? So
Right.
it's a global service that we've it's only been 3 years. So let's see how
Right.
far we can take it. I think it's a very exciting time for us. I mean, I think it's a very creative solution. The team
Right.
is just awesome. I'm so proud of the team for delivering what they've done.
Yes.
So I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by many, many intelligent people, way more
Yeah.
intelligent than me. So
I get that conversation's up for debate. You see, it seems to me because you not only have this brilliant technical mind, but you also have this brilliant entrepreneurial side where you see an opportunity, you see something that other people are not seeing, which is what an entrepreneur does, right? You
right,
find a need and then you provide the need. That's what you
yeah.
do. But
Mhm.
the really the kind of the basis of an entrepreneur. I mean, when you talk about Alkira, so let me understand this in like layman terms. So I go on and I don't know, type in whatever alkira.com
Yeah,
because I
just
have all
log
my
in.
stuff. Yeah, just log in and then
Yeah.
I have access to all my files that I uploaded there. Correct?
Right, right. No, so what we do is we allow you to select the regions. So you get a global map and you say,
Okay.
I want presence in Frankfurt, in Sydney, so we create automatic connectivity in the background between those locations.
Okay.
Then you give us your login information or credentials for your cloud deployments, right? Like AWS or Azure. We automatically extract that information and allow you to map it to what network you have created, right? And then on the other side, we allow you to very simply connect to your on-premise branches or data centers of your company, right? And your remote users working from home. So it's one way of bringing everything together, right?
Yeah.
So we do build the roads, or think of us as not roads or railroads, but more of an airplane industry, right?
Right.
We are over the top. We are connecting
Right.
everything together. All right.
Right.
There are multiple clouds that exist, and we bring everything together. That's why, where the name Alkira comes from?
No. Where's it
It's
going
it's
from?
sky in Aboriginal language,
In what language?
in Australian native language.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, in
So,
Aborigines.
yeah, yeah.
No
So
way.
so sky is connecting all the clouds together, right?
Did you come up with Alkira? Who came up with it?
One of our co-founders.
Wow. That
So
is so creative. That's so
right.
cool. That is
So that's
that is
where,
just so
yeah.
cool. I think what always whenever I come up to the Bay Area, especially since I met you guys and become friends with you and your family and stuff, I always find, and you guys were so kind when I was emceeing the Women's March in San Francisco in 2019. You guys were so kind to hold a fundraiser on my behalf, and
Right.
it was just such a lovely time. And I got to meet all your awesome friends. One of your friends apparently was a billionaire, and then I started picking on him because the way he was dressed. I kept saying you look like you have a lot of money, and the poor guy just kept smiling at me. And then I was like, no. I was like, where do you live? He's like, Saratoga. I'm like, stop it. I'm like, you have way too much money. Stop it. I was being an idiot. But every time I come to the Bay Area and get to hang out with you guys, and it seems to me that the South Asians who reside in the Bay Area are just progressive on a whole different level. I feel like I meet the South Asians here,
Mhm.
and then I go to the ones in San Jose, and you guys are on a whole different level.
From how? I mean, in your mind,
Very progressive.
very progressive. Yeah, yeah, and
Very
that's the
women
culture.
forward, very
Yeah.
supportive of women,
Yes.
very
Yes.
much
Yes.
about how do we move the conversation along? Not
Yes.
like, oh, we're Muslim and we don't do this and we don't
No,
do
no,
that.
no, no,
None
no,
of that
no.
stuff.
It's and again, people who are well educated and who get to work in environments which are global, right?
Mhm.
They end up learning a lot, right? They may have
Yeah.
come from very different backgrounds, but when they work in companies in the Bay Area, they meet so many diverse people, right?
Yes.
And I think that's what educates them to be the way they are. Some of them grew up that way, right? But other people end up learning. So it's the environment that makes you to behave in a certain way. At least I
Mm.
feel very strongly, right?
Yeah.
Because all of us, I mean, we come from different states in the U.S. We come from all the different countries. I think more than 55% or so population in the San Jose area is international, right? Which is pretty
55?
amazing. I think so, yeah. Because if you go to any company, right, Google or Cisco, you'll
Sure.
find a lot of diversity, right?
Yes. Yes.
And and so I think it's a fascinating place, and I think everybody can learn from that as to how to work together and
Yeah.
accommodate people with different backgrounds and cultures.
A lot of brown and Asian and white people coming together.
Yeah. I mean, how many places in the world do you find, right, where you have a billionaire sitting next, on the next table and eating food in the same restaurant where you are,
That's right.
right?
That's it. And
Bay
be
Area
humble about it.
culture,
And he's like humble about it. He's not
and
like,
very
yeah,
humble. You don't
yes,
even find out that
they're a
it may
billionaire.
be Zuckerberg, or it may be Steve
That's right.
Jobs sitting on that table, right? Or some. It's pretty amazing, right?
Yes,
People are
yes,
humble. They're accomplished. They focus. They don't show off as much, right?
that's right. Yeah.
And so
LA's the opposite. LA's the
it's
opposite. Very flashy. We don't even have quarter of the money that you guys have. And the amount of flash and fluff that's here. I go to the Bay Area and look at the kind of money you guys have, and then I come back here and I laugh. It's like rappers taking $100 bills and showing off, right? In front of a Saudi billionaire prince. And you're just like, stop it. Stop it. You don't know
yeah.
money. You don't even have what they like. Stop it. And
I don't judge people, so I mean it's their thing, right? So
it's okay,
they're
Amira. That's
enjoying
my
it.
job.
Let them
That's my
enjoy
job.
that.
That's
I
what they pay me
know.
the big bucks
Yeah,
for as a comedian, to judge people and be petty
yeah.
about it.
I know, I know. I
That's
mean,
kind of what they
I
do.
strongly feel that it's not our job to judge people, right? I mean, who knows what their background is and how they were brought up and why they are where they are,
Sure.
So,
Why are they so tacky?
I know.
Why are they? Why are they
But I
absolutely?
tell you that diversity, doesn't it make it more fun? Life becomes more exciting, right? Different people
Yeah.
behave differently and they have different backgrounds. As long as everybody gives space to each other, right? To
Yeah.
live your life the way you want to live, it's okay,
Yes.
right?
I agree. I agree.
So
And then there's also comedians there to make fun of all of it. So there's, so then there's us to compare the Bay Area disease to the LA disease, and you're just like, you're an embarrassment. The LA people are just embarrassing.
Oh,
Like, you guys are an
I
embarrassment.
haven't met many people from LA, so I have no idea.
You're not missing out.
I have
You're not
met
missing out.
you, so we
Thank
enjoyed
God.
spending time with you.
Because
And
I don't exist in that crowd. I'm like this lunatic just out there doing stand-up comedy, because disappointing my parents one joke at a time. I'm just out there doing this.
yeah.
Is it has Alkira been acquired by anyone, or you guys are just gonna?
No, we are standalone right now. We
Okay.
are a 65 people company, and we have raised about $76 million,
Well,
and we are just building it out. We are in the process of acquiring customers. Customers are extremely excited about that. We just did a online show called Packet Pushers, where it was me, myself, Atif, and our VP of products and a couple of customers. And it was so exciting, right? And Coke Industries was one of our first customers, and there's another customer who was on that also. So we have a very diverse group of people, customers, who are using our solution, and very proud of what the team has accomplished. Right? It's exciting, right?
did you casually just say $76 million?
Yeah, I mean, you have to raise a lot of money to build a large business, right? So, I mean, it requires a lot. It requires
76
a lot of
million.
money to
You're like,
build technology, right? I mean, you have to hire a lot of people, and pays in the Bay Area are pretty high, right? So it
right,
requires a lot of money to build out the company.
right, right. I mean, if you are, I'm sure this is public knowledge, but how much was Viptela sold for, acquired by
610 million.
only?
Yeah, yeah. It had a lot more potential, I can tell you that.
Oh, 610, only 600. I mean, my God, it's like chump change. What are they
No,
doing
but
over there?
in the big scheme of things, right? You are competing against the likes of Cisco and Juniper, and these are large companies. And if you end up winning business against them, in, let's say, finance banks, or healthcare provider companies, like big, really big companies, right? And that there's an opportunity there, a huge
Yeah,
opportunity to build a business. And I think the culture in the valley is to build those. I mean, look at Google starting. Where did they humble beginning, right? And where they are. Look at Apple, how it was started, and where
right.
it is, or Amazon.
By the way,
right?
all
So
immigrants or children of immigrants?
yeah, majority of them. And somehow I see that, I mean, my children are growing up over here, right? The
Okay.
hunger that you see in the immigrant population to come here and become something is
That's right.
very different, isn't
Yes.
it? Right?
Yes.
I mean,
How
we
do
are
you
more focused
do,
on success.
yeah, do you see that in your kids? Do you see that they have that hunger or drive, or they have hunger and drive in different
They
things?
don't yet. I mean, they enjoy life much more, because I think, life is easier, right?
That's right. Right.
You know?
They have all the luxuries. They don't have to
Yeah.
worry about putting, roof over their head or, good food.
Exactly, exactly. So
Everything
you
is paid
see
for.
where look at Elon Musk, right? How he
That's
grew
right.
up, right?
That's
So
right.
so it's pretty fascinating for me to see that when people come from outside, they strive to be, something big, right? And a lot of them, right? I see that in the culture. I guess they're surrounded by people who did that also, right? So when
Right.
you come to study here or do a job here, you
Yeah.
learn from your surroundings, and that hunger grows in you, right? And they always
Right.
say, right, it's you're known by the company you keep, and I guess that's the company around us, right? I mean, look at
Right.
Sequoia Capital, our investors, or Kleiner Perkins, right? 40 years of history in investing in high tech, right?
Wow.
Whether it's Google or Oracle or Cisco and companies like that, right? And then you continue to see Facebooks of the world and Instagrams, or I mean,
TikTok.
Tesla.
TikTok is huge right now.
Yeah, and the innovation, interestingly, majority of that happens in the Bay Area, right? That is
Hmm.
the culture here. And
That's
that
right.
ecosystem has already been built, right? And other people are trying to replicate that. And I
Right.
hope that spreads across the globe now more and more, right?
Right.
Because that brings prosperity, that brings happiness to a certain extent, as long as people don't become too materialistic and purely focus on creating wealth, as long as they decide to build job opportunities for others as well. I think
Right.
it's a very positive thing.
Yes.
It's a capitalistic society, but but that's why people work their butt off, right? So
Right.
to become something, right?
Yes.
And
But
take risk.
everything you're talking about to me sounds like compassionate capitalism.
Yes, yeah, it is. It is to and if you look at all these people, right? How much money do you need in your lifetime, right? Where are you going to take it once you become successful, right?
Right.
And a lot of these people.
How big does your boat have to be? Like
Right,
how
right.
big?
And and the thing is, a lot of people, they even distribute their wealth before they die, right? So it's pretty fascinating to see that, right? There are a lot of
Right.
humble people around who
Yeah,
do
isn't
really
Warren
well.
Buffett doing that? Warren Buffett said
I
it,
think so.
and
I
I
think
know
so.
that Bill Gates and Linda
Yeah,
and
yeah,
his wife they said that they were going to do that
yeah.
too.
Amazing people, right? I mean, they
Yes,
do so much for the masses in Africa and Asia, all over the place. I mean,
yes,
eliminating polio and stuff like that is not easy,
that's
right?
right.
Embarking upon that journey,
Yeah,
to go and take care of the poor people across the globe, not only in the U.S. but everywhere, right?
yes,
These are humble people. They're very, very. I mean, they deserve a lot more credit than they get
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. Recently, there've been. I know we're going to wrap up because I know you have to go. I know there's been recent talks about Bill Gates like trying to chip people, and he's trying to like program people. And I was like, Bill Gates can chip me all day. I was like, I think my life would just improve like 10 times better because Bill Gates chipped me. Like, go ahead and chip me. I'll probably become
You know,
smart. Like, chip
don't,
me. I'm fine.
don't we all want chips in our bodies which can go and clean up our cholesterol automatically?
Are you
Stuff
kidding
like
me? I love to eat chips, so you can just chip me.
chip.
I can just clean out the chips that I have
Yeah,
consumed. Okay.
yeah,
Are you
you're too
are you
funny.
are you kidding me? Like, just give me the chips.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think there's such such
Technology
in,
yet?
not only technology, people are not that bad, right? There may be some people
That's
who
right.
think that way, but majority of the people don't think that way, and
Right. But I don't think that way. I think Bill and his wife are just wonderful
yeah.
human beings. I
Before the
think
chips going into our bodies, I think drones may attack us more, right?
drone attacks. Yeah, yeah. Wasn't Amazon trying to do like Amazon like drone
Amazon
delivery?
delivery,
And
yeah,
then we're like,
yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's really creepy. Like, don't do
Haven't you
that.
seen those crazy drone videos on
Yeah.
online, right? It's like
Yes.
drones attacking everything. Yes, I mean there will be some of that, and then there will be technology to counter that also, right? Artificial intelligence will be a really interesting thing.
Yes.
And so it'll be really interesting to see where we take the technology, and
Yeah.
how it evolves, and how human beings evolve with that, right? A
Yeah.
lot of the stuff that we used to see in Star Trek is true now, right? When we grew up, right?
Well,
Scotty,
not
beam
the
me up, we're not
vaporizing
there
part.
yet.
Not yeah, we're not being. By the way, so my ex is a German scientist in Germany. He used
Oh,
to live
okay.
here, and then he moved back to Germany.
Okay.
Um, and he was telling me that Germany has successfully teleported atoms. They have
Yeah,
successfully. So
there you
now
go.
now they're moving on to bigger things. So
Right.
Germany is like out there when it
Yeah.
comes to
Maybe somebody will figure out a way of disintegrating us into atoms and putting them together again, right? So who knows?
How amazing. I mean, isn't Elon Musk talking about having rockets shoot us off from LA to London in 30 minutes? Like
Yeah,
to
just
shoot us
go to
off in
space and
space and
come
then
back.
land?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
That'd be,
sign me up. Where do I sign up for this? Like, I'm like,
yeah.
30
I mean,
minutes to London?
they're
Sign me up.
amazing. That's what is fascinating about the world, is that so many amazing brains, right?
Yes.
If you put steer the energy of the human beings towards positive, so
Yes.
much good happens, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to learn as a culture and society, is that forget about these differences, right? Let's work towards the betterment, right?
Yes.
And having improved lives all across, right?
Yes. Can
Yeah.
we clone you? Is that possible? Can we just
Why do you want to
clone
clone
you
me? I'm not that
and,
great. I mean,
and
these
get
are
like
so many people who are
200 Amirs in this world so the world could be a better, more peaceful, technologically progress? Can we do that? How are you not the poster child of Pakistan? I don't understand this.
No, I mean,
My
it's
God.
better to stay. It's better to stay humble.
But
Stay closer to the
oh, I
family,
didn't say,
and
I didn't say you're not going to be humble. You're still going to be humble because that's just your nature. But I'm just talking about like plastering you all over to be like this dude, be like this person, be like this
yeah.
guy. I
It's amazing. People get this idea of Pakistan, that everybody growing up over there is a certain way. I mean, it's stereotypes, right? And
yes,
maybe it's a terrorist country and stuff like that. Bad and good people are everywhere, right?
yeah,
When we were growing up, I mean, it was a beautiful country with beautiful culture, so much
yeah,
respect for each other, and hope
yeah,
now the populations have grown so much, the family values have gone away, but I hope those values come back, right? And people
yeah,
learn to live with each other better, rather than trying to be running after prosperity. And prosperity comes when you do good things, right? And
yeah.
and prosperity is not only money, right? There are a lot of other things. Now, money
That's
is a
right.
major element, right? When you have peace of
Sure.
mind and you have that satisfaction that you don't have to worry about making money, I wouldn't say that that's not the case,
Yeah,
but that's not the only thing, right?
that's right.
Even people with money can be depressed, right?
I think
And
most rich people are depressed. I did a study
yeah,
about this.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's better to have that thriving environment where you're
Yes.
having fun and enjoying with people and relating to them, and giving and all. It's just, life can be so much simpler and so much more fun.
Yeah. No, I agree. So next time you come across like a tech millionaire, who's single, you're just gonna send him my way, right?
Of course.
I just wanna set this up.
You
I
have
just
to
wanna
give me some more criteria, right?
I will tell you my biodata so you can like send him my biodata and be
Right,
like,
right,
this
right.
person is available.
I'm sure you meet with more people than I do. So,
They're not quality
you'll be
people.
fine.
Quantity ain't quality, tell you that much. In entertainment,
Right.
that's not what's happening here. They haven't gotten the memo you just gave out here. They just haven't gotten that memo.
Okay.
Even though it's in the same state, they just don't operate that way. It's
Okay.
very much about the bling
It's
and
funny.
the showing off, and it's just ridiculous over here. But
By the way, are we live?
we absolutely are live. We have been live for the last 53 minutes.
For a moment, I forgot.
We are absolutely live for 53 minutes. Well, I'm not going to take any more of your time. You have been so lovely and awesome and wonderful, as I knew that you were going to be. So thank you so very much. I can't ask you for social media. I'm taking a wild guess. You are not active on social media, but
Not that active, but I am.
not that active.
Yeah.
But they can Google you and look you up under Amir Khan, Viptela and Alkira, right?
Yes,
Alkira, right?
Yes. We have had a lot of press about Alkira recently.
Yeah, you were on
ALI.
Yahoo News when you were on Yahoo.
We were. I mean, we just announced a partnership with Microsoft and Palo Alto Networks and some of our customers. So yeah, there's a lot going on right now. So life is quite busy.
I love that. No, that's so beautiful. Well, thank you very much for having this lovely conversation with me and reaching out to you last minute. But thank you so much for doing this. It means
My
a lot.
pleasure. Anytime, and thank you so much. So nice to see you.
So
And
nice.
just take care and do visit us sometime. So thank you
I
so much.
I am I'm coming very soon, Amir. We're gonna
All
do.
right.
I'm coming to the Bay Area, so I'm coming very soon. Well, give
All
my
right.
love to the family. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye. That was my lovely friend Amir Khan. What a lovely, lovely, amazing human being. This man has been this way the first time I met him. His family is just adorable. I'm gonna ask him if I can be adopted into his family because they're just lovely human beings, guys. I know you guys enjoyed the conversation because I'm looking at all these amazing comments on the side. Sita said, I'm in the middle, leans slightly left. Left is beautiful. When we take opportunities, educate ourselves, become advocates, work, pay our fair share, give back, and enjoy our earthly journey called life. Amen to that. And then Sita also said, I'm learning so much. Great guest. Wow. Cable cloud storage. Fascinating. Awesome. And then James said, thanks, Mona and Amir. What a nice chat. Have a wonderful weekend. You too, my friends. You guys, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. You can go to youtube.com/Mona Shaikh comedian. You can also find me of the same name on TikTok and on Facebook. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mona's Comedy. Have a great weekend. I will be back on Monday with a brand new guest. Good night.